All right, it is time for lesson 4. So today we are going to be talking about adding rational numbers. And it's going to be 1-4. All right, so we go to our next page. In our notebooks, 1-4 up in the corner. Adding rational numbers. All right. So we're going to be focusing on decimals, on decimals and fractions, but we're going to be looking mostly at signed fractions. Now remember to zoom in so it's easier to see the notes. It's Control-Alt+, and that'll zoom in just that section there. So let's go ahead and put in our name. Today's date and the period. Make sure to put in the date that you watch it and the period that you are in. So jot down the process for adding fractions and decimals. So for fractions, we find equivalent fractions. Let's see how to spell equivalent. With the same denominator and add the numerators. For decimals, we line up the places. So the one place values line up with the one place values, and then we add placeholders if we needed. Great. So the great thing is the same we add and use the same sign. So just like we did here, hey, the 7 plus 6, they're the same sign, so we just add them up. They're 13. Here, if we add -8 plus -11, that's -19. Here, the signs are the same, so 3 and 6 is 9, so that's going to be -9. Here, the signs are the same, so it's going to be -19. Here, the signs are the same, and it's going to be 15. If the signs are different, then subtract and take the sign of the number with the greatest absolute value. So here they're different, so we're actually going to subtract, and we're going to get 8. This one, when we subtract, we get 9, but our bigger term, our magnitude term, is the negative one. Here we're going to get 2. Here again we're going to subtract, but we're going to get a -8, and here we're going to get a -6. All right? So if the signs are the same, add and use the same sign. So let's go ahead and do this. Well, this is just the decimals, but everything is still the same. It would be nice to line this one up vertically. So I'm going to go ahead and move this over so I can show you that part of the screen. There it is. Oh, maybe a little bit random stuff that's in there. Where? Oh, I got to page 2. There we are. So I've got 4.5 plus 6.3. So I've lined up my places. The decimal helped me do that. So I've got 5 plus 3 is 8. And 6 plus 4 is 10, so I get 10.8. Then we've got negative 1.8 plus negative 6. So when I'm thinking about that problem, I want to then go rewrite it vertically, but I'm just going to worry about the magnitudes right now. And then I know that my final answer is going to be negative. So 8 plus 6 is 14. I have to regroup. So I get 3.4. So my answer should be negative 3.4. Note that they were both negative, so I kept the sign of that negative term. Let's try negative 3.7 plus negative 6.5. So first I just write it as I normally do. Oh, I went to the wrong page. There it is. But now I'm going to just think about, oh, well, the signs are same, so I'm just going to add decimals. And I'm going to add their magnitudes, and then I'm going to worry about the sign at the end. So here I've got 12, carry the 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I get 10.2. And I guess I could have filled these in, so we had 10.8, negative 3.4, and then we had negative 10.2. All right. So let's continue. And again, these two are going to be exactly the same. They're both negative. So we're going to have 15.6 plus 14.0. Right? We add it up. We get 29.6. Our answer is going to be a negative 29.6 because both of those numbers are negative. So remember, we're always worried about whether we're adding or subtracting, and then we're going to worry about the sign at the end. This last one ends up being 16.1. If the signs are different, then we subtract and take the sign of the term with the greatest absolute value. So it looks like I'm always going to take whichever my bigger number is. So let's go ahead and write down this example. Negative 2.5 plus 10.7. All right, so in my notes I've got the negative 2.5 plus 10.7. I'm always going to put the number with the larger absolute value first. And since they're opposite, I'm going to subtract. And then I get 2, and then 8, so I get 8.2. And this term is positive, so my answer is going to be positive, so it's going to equal 8.2. Let's look at the next one. So we've got 8.2. Oh, let me rewrite that because I wrote that in the wrong spot. So I've got 8.2 plus a negative 17.6. All right. So now let's set up my subtraction. They're different. I'm going to start with the bigger term, the term further from 0. And so I've got a negative 17.6. So I'm going to put 17.6 minus 8.2. Okay? So now we subtract. 6 minus 2 is 4. There's our decimal. 8 is 9. But we know that our answer should be the negative version because this is the term that tells us our sign because it's the one further from 0. So our answer should actually be a negative 9.4. So you're going to do the operation where you always put the bigger number on top. You subtract the smaller number when you've taken the absolute values. But then you're going to have to go back and figure out the sign at the end. Okay. So here we had 8.2. Oh. Then we had negative 9.4. This one, think about it. Should your answer be positive or negative? Well, we know that our answer should be positive here. So if we set up our subtraction, we've got 9.0 minus 7.4. So we have to regroup. So we get 1.6, and our answer should be positive because the 9 was the positive term. Let's look at this term. Should our answer be positive or negative? Well, we've got a positive 3 and a negative 11, so our answer should be negative. So we're going to write up our subtraction just like we normally would with 11.8 minus 3.3. But then we know no matter what we get, our answer is going to be the negative version of that. So there we get 8.5. So our answer is negative 8.5. And again, one more. So we've got, actually I'm going to save that one for you guys to do. I will probably ask about it in our live session. So let's go ahead and go on to our next one. So if this, now we're going to do the same thing with fractions. So the process for fractions is the same. Right? We need a common denominator. If the signs are the same, add and use the same sign. So here the denominators are already common, so we just add the tops and we've got 7 over 5. Here the denominators are the same, so we add the tops, negative 5 plus negative 5, that's negative 10. So we get negative 10 over 6, and that simplifies to negative 5 over 3. All right. Here we've got a negative 1 3/4, so that's negative 3/4 minus or plus a negative 7/4. So the bottoms are already the same. That's going to be negative 10/4. And again, that one simplifies. So that's going to be negative 5 over 2. The denominators are already the same. This is going to be negative 12 over 10, which is going to equal negative 6 over 5. And then here we've got 3 4/8, which is 3 1/2. Okay? So as long as the signs are the same, we just add like normal. Now, if the signs are different, oh, looks like I missed a text box there, so you're just going to grab a quick text box here. If the signs are different, then you subtract and take the sign of the number. Let me pull that up a bit so it actually lines up with the greater absolute value. So which is the greater absolute value? The 1/3 or the 1 1/3 or the negative 2/3? So we're going to think about that. I'm going to write that one here. So the signs are definitely opposite, so we're going to subtract. So we've got 2/3, and I already forgot what it was. Negative 2/3 plus 4/3. And I went ahead and converted it into a fraction this way. The signs are opposite, so we're actually going to subtract. So we're going to get 2/3. Now this is my bigger term, so my answer should be positive. Let's look at our next one. We've got, so this was 2/3. We've got 7/8 plus a negative 5/8. So the terms are opposite, so we're going to subtract. So 7 minus 5, that's 2. Our bigger term is our positive one, so we're going to get 2/8, which, by the way, simplifies to 1/4. Then we've got 5/12 plus a negative 7/12. They're opposite, so we're going to subtract. 7 minus 5 is 2. But this term is the one further from 0, so that's going to determine our sign. So we get negative 2 over 12, which is negative 1/6. Oh, let's look at this one. The signs are opposite, so we're going to subtract. So we get 4/9, but our bigger term is negative, so that's going to be a negative 4/9. Then this one, again, it'd be nice to turn them both into fractions. So we get 7/10 plus 10, 11, 12, 13 tenths. And then 7 tenths is negative. So let's take a look at that one. All right, so we're looking at the tops here now because the denominators are the same. They're opposite, so we're going to subtract. We get 6 over 10, but our bigger term is positive, so our answer is going to be positive. And this simplifies to 3/5. Okay? So we get 3/5. Now, so we find a common denominator, then follow the steps for adding fractions with common denominators. All right. So now we need to find our common denominator first. Now I've run out of space on the page, so I'm going to just flip over to the next page of my notebook, work on the back. And let's see if I can scroll this. Alright, so I'm actually just going to move this down a bit so I can see the whole thing. So, and let me move this over here. So we've got a negative 1/6 plus 2/3. Well, this is the one we're going to change. We're going to multiply the top and bottom by 2. So this is negative 1/6 plus 4/6. Now we can follow the same rules. They're opposite, so we subtract. So that's going to be 3 over 6. And it's going to be positive because this term is, our bigger term is positive. And so that's going to be 1/2. Let's try the 5/8 plus negative 3/4. Our common denominator is going to be the 8, so we need to multiply this by 2 to get 8. So we do that to the top and the bottom. And we get 5/8 plus negative 6/8 equals, well, now they're opposite signs, so we're going to subtract. 6 minus 5 is 1. But this term is the term that's going to give us our sign because it's the bigger term. And so we get negative 1/8. Okay, let's look at the next one. So we've got 3/12. Let's turn the 1 2/3 into a fraction. So that's 3, 4, 5. So that's negative 5/3. Right? Now, negative 5/3. Well, 12 is going to be our common denominator. So we're going to multiply the top and bottom by 4. So we're going to get 3/12 plus a negative 20/12. These are opposite signs, so we're going to subtract. And we're going to get 17 over 12. But look, our term further from 0 is negative, so we're going to get negative 17/12. You could also write that as negative 1 5/12 if you're comfortable switching between fractions and mixed numbers. All right. So our last one here, again, common denominator. I'm going to leave that one for you. Go ahead and finish that one. Pause the video if you need to. And then summarize today's lesson. And it looks like I, again, forgot to put in a little text box there. So go ahead and talk about what you learned today. And try to keep it down to a couple sentences.